roast beef here, and man, do we have some stuff we got to talk about, guys. It has been an amazing week here, not only in terms of like just general fishy shit and like things going in the jigs and bigs-averse that we got to talk about, but man, we're in it as we record this. It is the final day kicking off right now of the Jigs and Bigs multi-species scavenger hunt open for October, and it's been a grind all week. We're going to dive into the details, or we're going to talk about how folks are doing, what we're sort of expecting to see happen. I mean, who knows? It's really anybody's game. But you guys are not going to want to miss this. We got Who the Fuck is Joe Brown in the hot seat. We also have not one, but two calls in the live well. Gear-associated calls for the most part. Well, I guess one is a gear-associated call from the one and only Eli Self. We're talking about all the small things on this week's Just the Tip. It's that season to downsize. We're going to give you some ideas of ways you can do it and maybe not hate it so much. Why don't you go ahead and grab yourself something delicious to enjoy, guys. We'll go ahead. We'll see you just right after this. Don't go too far. Yeah. It's wow. It's one of those days, and it's one of those shows too. Eli's in the house. Eli, I got your call and managed to edit that in. I don't know if you realized or not, but you had called like last Sunday at this time. So I think you called right after we recorded, but I'm glad I'm talking about this now because it is Sunday morning. This is the final day of the scavenger hunt open as we record the show. And it has been a wild ass week. And I got to give a big round of applause, man. Last spring was the first one. We almost tripled our entries for anglers this year for registrations. That is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are into it. It is definitely a good thing. The Eli says, he goes, power finesse box from Dark Horse Tackle. Thoughts? We're going to talk about that for sure. Not necessarily about the box, but some techniques that for sure can play with whatever is in there. I haven't even seen that. And you know what? I'm behind with my Dark Horse monthly bait shop pillaging. I'm behind. I realized I never put an order in for October. So I got to get on that. I really do. We're going to talk about that H.H. Kushball jig too, Eli. You know, I've been throwing this for the last year at least the last 9-10 months anyway. And it's been a major player, and it came in clutch yesterday. So, Joe, you have some stuff to definitely talk about. You have some plans after the show's done recording, huh? Dare I say fishy shit?
I do. I'm gonna splash the boat after the show and get out there finally.
So that's awesome, dude. That is great to hear. So Thumb's doing well. You're feeling confident?
Thumb's doing great. I mean, dude, it's almost back to it's a little stiff. Mm-hmm. But other than that, oh yeah, dude, I'm good to go.
That's perfect, man. That is perfect. I hope you freaking get on him, man. I really do. And actually, it's funny because you and we talked yesterday about where you're headed. And to be honest, man, where you're going is exactly where I need to be today in order to really make that last strike for the scavenger hunt, because the smallies are abundant, crappie are abundant. And if I could, any 2 points would be amazing. You know, any 2 points would definitely put me in the running, at least put me tied up at the top, because we'll get to that in a moment.
Right.
You got anything else going on? What are you planning on today? Are you, it's been a while,
Just catching a fish, dude. That's all I care about. Is just catching a fish.
If things were like they were yesterday, I think you're gonna do just fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be a quick send, just a couple hours. Just to dip my feet back in a little bit.
No, for sure, dude. Yeah,
and kind of see. I mean, I I think we're going to be good. And, catching a fish and like fighting a fish, that'll really determine how good the thumb is. But,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, dude, I need to get out there, dude. Before I put the boat away for the season, I need to get out there.
Definitely. So I know that's the thing. You and I work differently when it comes to our boats. You're going to be packing yours up probably in the next, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that?
Yeah, next couple weeks. I try to look at the weather schedule, and that'll kind of make my determination. But I have to have it in there by a certain date. I don't remember that I have to have it in there by.
But this is great because I am planning many outings to Cape Cod. This is the time of year that I love because people will say to me all the time, they're like, oh, you better get out there while you can, man. It's getting too cold. You're going to have to winterize that puppy. And I'm like, what are you even talking about? I'm like, I don't winterize this. I tell them, I change the oil at the end of the year in the motor. I'm like, and every time I fish with it, it gets dried out completely. I'm like, yep. I'm going to travel. If I have open water I can get to, I'm going. Right. And, I'm going to be doing some trips to, there's a couple of lakes out at the Cape, and I'm going to try to push all winter. As long as they don't ice up, I'm going to be out there. So sure. You say the word, and there's a spot on the implication for
Hell yeah.
Seriously.
Like that.
I mean, there might be days where I'm going out specifically just to scan and just to mark shit. Maybe wet a line here or there.
Yeah.
The nice thing, one of these spots, I haven't been since this spring. But one of these spots that I'm going to be putting some work into and some effort through the winter, hopefully, if things work out, is right near JD's Burger and Sushi. And let's be honest, if there's an MVP in the 2025 fishing season, it's that place because it's never let me down, ever. It's awesome. Let's dive into it. Let's talk about how was my week. So I'm going to talk about the non-scavenger hunt elements first. I got some shit done this week. I really did. Starting out with I edited the show. I got the show all handled and everything. And I spent some time working in between outings for the scavenger hunt on YouTube. And also on working on the 300th episode. And I got some developments there. So we already mentioned that Halloween. That morning, Halloween's actually midnight. Immediately, Halloween that day on Friday, box office opens for tickets for the 300th episode. You can get yours at jigsandbigs.com. There's a link right there for it. Just go ahead, grab your tickets. They're $25 a pop. And your ticket is basically the way you're entering all of the giveaways. We're going to talk about some of those giveaway prizes. Actually, there's going to be some content coming out on the Jigs and Bigs channels this week and moving forward, slowly revealing some of these groups or some of the brands that we're working with. And that list is growing. So we got that all set. But the coolest thing is I got the physical tickets, man.
Oh, hell yeah.
I got physical tickets. So what we're going to do is this. Folks that buy a ticket online, we're going to pull from that list of tickets, right? And we're going to put those numbers aside. And we're going to be calling based on like ticket number. You know what I mean? We're going to assign everybody a ticket number. And then everybody who purchases a ticket, if they don't get a physical ticket from me, they'll be handed a physical ticket there. Oh, that's what it was. It's when they get there, the physical tickets, when they get there, that's how we're going to do the door prize. Now, you're still game. I'm putting up a trip with me, either on the Fish Whistle charters or as just a fun day fishing with Bobby Roast Beef, however you want to spin it. On the in 2026, on the implication, all you got to do is just get to Massachusetts. That's it. That's it. You get here and we're good to go. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a door prize, and this is going to be for a local person. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be pretty good. You're still in. You want to do a trip as well with the listener? Dude. This is going to be. Maybe we can double it up and just plan a day.
Yeah.
Fuck. Maybe we'll do it like in a slot tournament.
Could do that.
We could do that. We're launching some stuff in 2026. Benny is going to have a little bit. Actually, so that's one of the other things that I talked with Mike about this week was the 2026 season and what it's going to look like. He's got a lot of ideas and things that he kind of wants to try out that are going to be testers to see if they're going to if they make sense moving forward. One of those things is a team trail. So we're going to sample that with the slot limit series where we're going to double up, but it'll be an option where you'll be able to play as a team, as two different anglers, but also like a team trail where it's like anywhere in the country. So like, you know how like the internet is kind of created where like you've got fishing buddies that are in completely parts of the country, different parts of the country that fish totally different waters than we do, right?
Yeah.
We all have those friends. Why not create a team tournament where you can fish on a team and remotely together?
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what the idea is. If I'm picking up what Mike's putting down, so it could be pretty fun. It could be actually a really, really good time. John Higgins has chimed in also this week and had mentioned the idea of doing a couple of like scaled down opens for the scavenger hunt series, like just 48-hour ones, like little scrambles to let folks kind of like try it out without like blowing up a whole week. Try it over a 48-hour window, but also it's a good practice idea for the championship, which is going to be in May. So like if you haven't, like it's a nice little drill. You can go ahead and do that. And I say, you know, John, I love that idea. I go, what would be even better is if we made those charity scrambles so that we can raise some funds for a good cause, an environmental cause, something like that, do something really good. So there's a lot of things that have been going on. As for YouTube, I dropped a video on Sunday. That was the second part of my my trip to St. Lawrence. I think that was this last Sunday. And then I dropped another video this week, which was it was the slot limit series, and I sent you a clip from that, right, dude? The feedback has been amazing from that, but that one's gotten legs. Like it's not. I don't get lots of views. I really don't. You know what I mean? I'm just over 500 subscribers. Like I mean, I'm a very very small channel, but like in the grand scheme of things, like that one's got some views. I was kind of surprised, and I don't know if it's the banter or what it was, but yeah. For those of you that haven't heard or haven't seen that video, I shared a story about when I for a very brief period of time worked as a DJ in a strip club. Which then led to another story with my buddy Paul. And it was just kind of, it went off the rails. It was very entertaining. And I think that's what makes my YouTube special, I think, is that kind of crap. As far as getting out and things getting fishy, it's been rough. So I got up, the open started on Monday morning, and that day there was something going on. I wasn't able to get out that day. And it was just, there was too much shit on the docket. So I was like, immediately out the gate, well, as it would turn out, what Todd Sefton had like the day, I think he put like 6 species in that day, which is just awesome, something like that. And there was another one of our anglers that had put a ton in as well, I think like 5 or 6, and it was very close from the get. Like it was, I want to say it was maybe Eric Miller that also had put quite a few in and was just on it. And I was like, that is great. People are out there, they're getting it done. I had been talking a little bit with John Higgins, was a little bit concerned because, like, again, John is a hammer. Like, this is what he does. And he had mentioned to me that he was like, this is going to be a rough week because work schedule and things. And that's what makes the scavenger hunt a challenge, is the accessibility to go and fish. And it is easier to manage when it's only a week versus a month, because that's a fucking long time and anything can happen. But yeah, you get out there and you just start pushing, and you make the best out of what you've got to deal with. So myself and a bunch of folks did not enter any fish on Monday. I got out on Tuesday, and my plan was to go and hit the Swift River for as many of the 4 trout species that I could find in there. So we're talking rainbows, brookies, browns, and tigers. Lake trout in Massachusetts, there's only, that I know of, one body of water where you're going to find lake trout. Maybe you can find them in Quabbin. I don't know if you can find Lakers in Quabbin too.
They're in Quabbin.
They are in Quabbin, so that's 2 right there. But I mean, that's an undertaking. Like that's it's a thing, because on the one hand you've got Wachusett, which is bank fishing only, and then you've got Quabbin, which you have to rent their boat. So you're stuck with the availability. And actually, I don't even know this time of year if you can rent one of their boats. The season may
I think
have
they're closed. Yeah, I think they're closed.
Yeah, so like that might not help you whatsoever. So Lakers, I'm like, that's one of those species that like if I can get into them, great. If I can't, I'm not going to hedge my bets on those. So I was looking for these 4 other species. Dude, I have never caught a brown trout at the Swift River ever. I took my buddy Paul earlier this summer, like one day just to trout fish, just try it out. You know, he'd never trout fished with bait finesse. And he caught the trifecta, brookie, rainbow, and trout, and brook. Brookie, no, rainbow and brown. That's what I meant to say. Very, very early this morning. So, you know, I knew that they were in there, but I'm like, we'll go and see what can happen. What amazed me is I walked away. I only caught browns that day. I caught 3 or 4. And nothing like crazy, but I had them dialed pretty good on it. They were all biting inline spinners, and you know I had some other tactics lined up if they weren't down to chase a moving bait. Like I was throwing a little like a slip bobber rig with a crawler to see what I could drifting that actually behind the boat, and that didn't get touched. I did see a bunch of rainbows because they're the most abundant, I feel. But I didn't get into any other bycatch when I was there. So I left with 1 point. And I felt good about that because I had 1 point that was not a species that I knew was in there. Like I knew I could come across a rainbow elsewhere and it would happen. So this was Tuesday. I get off the water. I come home. I've got my first point on the board. I'm feeling good. But again, the pressure's still on. We're now 2 days in and I've got 1 point. I go into Wednesday with a whole bunch of shit on the docket. I had to bring Hudson to the vet. We had some rain earlier in the day. So like, I'm not going to bring Eleanor if it's raining. That's the biggest thing. I'm not going to bring Eleanor out if it's raining. So I'm limited with the amount of time that I'm out there. I really kind of have to like strike when the iron's hot. But I was putting all of the weight on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and Sunday. That was the whole goal. I get out on Thursday, and where did I fish Thursday? Oh, I went to Congamon Junior, and I put up, was it 2 points at Congamon Junior? 3 points at Congamon Junior. I got the slime dart. I knew I was going to get there. I caught 27 bass that day.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts. I caught 27 bass. One of them had a weird pattern. People say that there are smallmouth in there. I've never caught one. I caught this one bass that definitely looked like it had a pattern. It didn't have like the visible horizontal line like a largemouth does. But I was like, I let it go, and I'm like, I really should have measured that just for shits and giggles, just to have it on the board in case I was like, nope, that is a smallie. It would have been close. Like most of these fish barely would have hit like the 8-inch minimum, most of them. My chain pickerel, I think, was around 12 inches. Super, super tiny. And then I caught, what was the third? Oh no, I put up 4 points that day. I caught a rainbow trout on a 2.5-inch Crush City mare. I'm like, okay, here we go. And the new net. So, we got to back up, man. We got to back up. So I did get a replacement net.
Okay.
I just picked up a Ranger, but it's got the silicone netting. I was like, I was looking at some of the larger ones because that was my goal. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go with like a larger net this way. Because my whole goal is to get into like chasing these 40 plus inch pike and like eventually muskie fishing and stuff, I'm like, first off, what was in stock at Cabela's when I went? They didn't have anything with they only had like the traditional net material for that size. And I'm like, I'm not going to bother with that. I definitely want to go with this. And after using this net that I picked up, I'm really glad that I did. Like it hasn't gotten hung up and like I caught fish on jerk baits, with all those points, didn't bury a hook on anything. It was great. So, it's a Ranger. It's a little bit shorter of a handle than what I'm normally used to. But what I like about this, it's an extending handle, but it's got like those buttons that will like clip into place. So I just extend it all the way in the boat and it's good to go. Like it's great. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to look around at another net. I might have with that larger net for the larger species. I think I'm going to look into a broken twigs and see about one of those. They're very expensive, but they're pretty fucking cool. And I'm like, I don't want to put this kind of fish in, this kind of shitty net material. And I know I could swap it out, but I'd rather just get it one and done, everything else. So I may lean into that for that larger platform and only obviously take it out when I'm fishing those bodies of water, and that's when I'm chasing. But so that's all set. But what's even more amazing is this, Joe. I took Holly to Cabela's with me. I was like, hey, you want to go for a ride? We'll go grab a coffee. She's like, yo, what do you got going on? You got errands to run or anything? I'm like, yeah, I got to go to Cabela's. And I immediately expect her to go like,
hard pass. Nope.
If there's one thing that my wife loves, it's commerce. She loves to shop more than anything. And so we go in there and I pick out the net. I'm like, okay, this is cool. I was like, what else did I pick up while I was there? There was a couple of plastics. Oh, that's what it was. It was the Mayors. I was like, yeah, I need to get some more like sub 3-inch swim baits for this tournament. So it was like, that was pretty much all I had run in there for. And she's like, she goes, oh, can we go look at the aquarium? I was like, yeah, absolutely. Let's go. So we go in, we're looking at all the fish, and she's like, oh, this one looks pretty messed up. And I'm like, yeah, from what I understand, these are all like rehabbed fish. Like they got donated or something because they were in rough situations. They rehabilitated them. They leave them in here. So she's looking at all this, and on the other side, because it's like in the East Hartford one, it's just one shot all the way through. Like it's nothing extravagant. We go through on the other side, we find ourselves in front of women's apparel. She bought 2 sweaters, dude. Nay. I bought her 2 sweaters. She was looking at coats for my daughter. She's like, yeah, she doesn't want something too puffy, but blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, one of the things my wife loves more than anything, but she is very oddly picky about like certain foods. And this is one of them.
Fudge.
And I'm like, we got you. So she got some peanut butter and jelly fudge, and she's only had a couple of pieces, and I was like, oh, she didn't like it. And she was like, no, it's good. She goes, the only thing is you can tell this was made in a factory and is made to be on a shelf for 6 months at a time without getting gritty. Like it doesn't have that homemade kind of feel. And I was like, obviously, you know what I mean? She had a really good time. I was amazed. I was like, holy crap. I'm like, this is not going to be good for me because now when I go, it'll be like, oh, you're going to Cabela's? I'll go with you, blah, 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 blah. And they've already started the brand change over there because now the sign doesn't say Cabela's anymore. It says Bass Pro.
Yep.
So I'm like, I don't know, honey. How are you going to handle this? Because now it's Bass Pro, you know? Mm-hmm. So, it was pretty interesting, but she's happy. We had a good time, but I was amazed. I was like, who is this woman? I was like, oh, that's right. You like to shop. That's why you're into this. It was pretty good. So fast forward, we get back to Thursday. I had a great day. I put 4 points on the board. I have now 5 points total, and I'm feeling pretty good. Now, I get to a situation where on Friday, I need to make a judgment call. And I made the wrong call. I should have gone to another body of water. Oh, I'm going to get there, Bogley. I am going to get there. It says, Oxbow is dog shit. Call the pavers. Well, I made the call, and I went and I fished on Friday at Oxbow, oddly enough. And my goal was I'm going to go for pike and smallmouth, try and check those boxes there. Now, I know in the river system, there's so much other stuff that I could hook into, but I made the call to go to a spot that I have caught pike in the past. It's got the type of water that they are going to love. And I just could not get a bite while I was back there. I was throwing a bunch of different things. I ended up getting one small tap because I was at a loss. I'm like, I'm just going to throw and downsize this Crush City mare. And I happened to get like a backlash or something, and like the bait hit the bottom, and it was there for probably 4 or 5 seconds, and I got a tap. And it was a light little tab, probably like a bluegill or something like that or whatever. Just a light little tab. It was the only life I had seen. Now, what I've been doing this time around is looking at the day and then making a plan of how much time I'm going to spend there. Now, I look at it like this. Anytime I go to Oxbow, I've got a choice. I can put the work in Oxbow, or I can go out to the main river, or I can do both. But I have to on my itinerary, I have to set a point in the schedule. And Ryan says right here, he goes, we had a tournament yesterday, and Alec and I almost went full send off the Chicopee Dam. We both had 16 plus pounds in practice. Holy fuck. So I go, and I'm not having any luck in Oxbow. Clock runs out. I'm like, time to make a move. I got Eleanor with me. Everything's good. Pack everything up, head out to the main river. And I headed down to a spot where I'm like, so now we're shifting gears. We're going smallmouth. I'm in this one spot, heavy current area, lots of rocks, really shallow. Just can't get bit, man. Just can't get bit, you know? So I go, I'm going to move up a little bit and fish this marina area. And actually, let me back up. Before I head out there, there's this boat who I think was a ranger. They had come up by me, and we're just having a conversation. They're like, "Oh, they're biting it all," and they're like next to nothing. They're like, seriously, like next to nothing. It's ridiculous. And the things that we're running into are like follows, but nothing's committing. And I'm like, that is shitty as fuck. What are you doing? So I didn't, and I should have paid attention to because I saw them afterwards. I should have paid attention with what they were throwing as far as combos and like this style of fishing, like to see what kind of info I could put together there. So I downsized like a motherfucker and could not get a bite over at this marina. And I'm like, now the nice thing is about Fridays is it buys me an additional hour because my daughter's got chorus after school. So I'm like, I'm not going to get off the water early. I'm here until I have to leave. So I make my way up and I'm just looking for like fishy shit. And I find this one sort of like bluff wall that just looks fucking hot. Looks great. And I go and I fish this. And what I was doing was I was just kind of like going up a little bit and then just killing the trolling motor and then letting it drift me back down. And then going back up. And as I was doing this, I noticed a tree that was just like laying down up against a boulder. And I'm like, that looks just juicy. And I'm like, but I know if I throw something super tiny, I'm going to break off. And I did. So I just grabbed the next thing that could handle like some heavier cover situations. And it was a big old swim jig. And Joe, I had a big smallmouth take a swipe at this, maybe 10 inches below the surface of the water. Like, come up from this boulder and take a swipe at this thing and just didn't get the hook. And I was like, come the fuck on. You got to be kidding me. You've got to be kidding me. That was as good as it got on Friday. Friday was a hot piece of shit. And I spoke to every other boat that was in there. There weren't many people out that day. That Ranger, when I left, that Ranger trailer was the only one that was still in there. I believe these guys won. They were practicing for that tournament that the Butcher is talking about, the Ben's Tackle Shack tournament that was over there this weekend. So they were practicing for that, and I believe they had said that they had either won or were in the money for last year, and they were like, this year is just terrible. And they also shared that they thought that it probably had to do with the fact that water temps were still a little bit too warm, like they hadn't cooled down. And a lot of the water temps that I've been seeing are like 55, 53, 52 degrees at the coolest areas. And it was just nuts. Oh, yeah, Bogley says, yeah, it was Corey and Randy. So Corey and Randy, how you doing? I don't know if they listen to the show. But it was just nuts. So Friday, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do here. I'm like, because my plan was I was going to go up to the Berkshires and fish a couple of my favorite spots. And I'm like, one of those spots, I go there and I'm targeting smallies and pike. Most of our listeners probably know where that spot is. I think it's one of my favorite like fisheries out here, but it runs hot and cold and it can break your heart. Like if they're not biting, they're not biting. So I get up, super early, right? I'm like, I'm not looking to get there like at the butt crack of dawn per se. I want that water to warm up, but I want to be rigged and ready to go so that way I can get into my spot and do a little bit of scanning once I get out there. And I'm looking at a couple of spots that have what I'm looking for. And weeds were on the menu, and I got to tell you, they were very productive. Fishing the grass was very, very productive. I was started out throwing a spinnerbait, because I know they like the jingly jangle flash and everything else. So I start throwing that around. No bites. I shift gears and I get a little bit more subtle with like a larger, like a 4-inch finesse swim bait on a jig head, right? Nothing there, but I'm noticing where the weeds are coming up, and it's just about the right sort of depth for me to throw a jerkbait and just kiss the tips of those weeds and then just rip them through. And I caught a smallie that did not hit the 8-inch minimum. So I'm like, you son of a bitch. Now, this is like a 110 jerkbait size, like a standard one. Beautiful perch pattern, too. And this fish was barely larger than that.
Did he actually just like kind of get in the way of it versus trying to bite it?
So I was on the pause and I saw him come up out of the weeds, and he grabbed like by the face or by the front of the lure. He grabbed that front hook, bit. I barely had to set the hook. I was just about to twitch, and that's what hooked him, was the next twitch. And I was like, oh shit. And then I get him in the boat, and he's like flapping all like crazy. And then he hooked like his tail on the last hook. I'm like, you fucking asshole. I should have, and I fucked up. I probably should have.
So was he just like folded up onto it?
Pretty much.
Is that,
like a C.
Yeah.
Actually, not even. He was that small. He was more like just slanted just a little bit. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. He was that fucking small. I should have put him on the board just because, like, if he some type of a miracle he hit the 8-inch mark, I would have had an additional point, but like just nothing. And then it kind of dried up over there. There's a group that does rowing, this crew team that's over there. And oh, my fucking God, dude, like so obnoxious. So I don't want to say that they blew up whatever I had going over there, but like they made it very difficult for me to stay in a position and not run around. It was a real pain in the ass.
Dude, they own the water when they're on there. You should know that.
Obviously. Who am I? Who am I? So I go out to another patch of weeds that I'm like, I'm looking for like the greenest grass I can find. Yeah. And like I'd find a little bit here and there. Most of it was fucking dying. You know what I mean? It's on its way out. And I was like, all right, let's try and work this a little bit faster. And I decide, because the depth here was a little bit different. Like it was a bit of a different situation. So I went back to that spinnerbait and I started just burning it right over the top. Now I did have a pike follow me right to the boat, and he looked at me. We made eyes at each other, and he was like, and he just fucking stopped and let that bait keep going. Yeah. And I think that had I had like another 6 or 8 yards to that cast, I would have hooked him. I have a feeling I would have, but it wouldn't matter because I ended up hooking a pike on the next spot that I had gone to. So I went and I called up a map and I was looking at some lines and stuff, and I got to do something to figure out like mapping for my setup, because I have like no contour lines in like some of these bodies of water. Like it's ridiculous. So I'm looking at a map. I'm actually using the Omnia app, and I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, so this looks pretty good over here. I was like, there seems to be a little bit more of a ledge, but I know that there's weeds that are over here. So, and if they're associating to the grass, I'm gonna fish the weeds. One of the reasons why I fished that spot where I got that follow was because the wind was blowing right into that patch of weeds. And I put myself just on the outside of it so I could make casts out in front of it. And in the wind, it would actually blow me inward a little bit like that. And I would just kind of like go and cast diagonally, like go right across. And that's when I happened to pick up that pike. So I go over to this other spot and I zip over there and I start fishing. And I'm like, man, where are these weeds? Like, what the hell's going on? I thought like am I fucking losing it? What's going on? Where I'd started had a little bit harder bottom. And it was quite a bit deeper. So I finally make my way around, and I get into the weeds, and I'm casting it right over. Same deal. No, it wasn't the spinnerbait I was throwing. I was throwing the finesse swim bait at this point because I'm like, I just got to go for a straight up confidence because I don't know that any vibration or anything is really like getting it done. And the visibility over here was much, much more clear than where I was initially. And it also was a little bit more sheltered from the wind. That was the big player. There was a lot less wind where I was. So I throw this finesse swim bait, and I'm just kind of covering this fan casting, and bang, I put in a pike.
Hell yeah.
Hammered it. Absolutely hammered it. I was like, holy shit. I was down to like my last 45 minutes before I was going to make the call to go to another body of water. But there's no smallmouth and there's no pike at that other body of water. Like a bunch of the other stuff, yes, but no smallmouth, no pike. So I head out to I catch this fish, measure him. I'm feeling good. I'm like, okay, so that's a point. Now I'm up to 6 points. All right. And I'm like, okay, all right, not too bad. I think I had actually at this point tied the tie that John Hagen's was in initially. And I'm like, okay, this is good. Things are okay. I decide on my way out to hit a point and try to see if I can't grab a smallie on my way back to the ramp. So I head over there to this one point. It's real rocky, and I'm throwing a downsized finesse swim bait over here, and I hooked up with another smallie. That was too fucking small for the goddamn. This one I did put on the board, and he came in at like 6 3/4 inches.
Yeah,
and I was like. And I'm like, you piece of garbage. So I throw him back, and I fish my way down, and I'm like, all right, nothing's going on here. My alarm goes off. That's what I like to do. Like when I'm doing something like this, I set an alarm on my phone. Yeah, that's when I get off the water. Yeah. So my alarm goes off. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll load everything up. We head out, and I go over to the second body of water. I had done a live. I was still feeling pretty good because of this pike. And I'm like, this other body of water I've kind of had in the back pocket because traditionally I catch fewer bass here than anything else. Like I go to this body of water for the scavenger hunt tournaments. Like the biggest predators are the chain pickerel. This is the place where I caught that 27 incher this past spring. And I'm like, all right. We'll see what we can do. I got there, dude. And aside from these 2 kayaks, right, I had the place to myself. It was so nice. I love fall for that. I really do. Yep. So I go, and there's one bank that I have history with that I'm like, I'm going to start here. And there's a lot of grass, a shitload of grass, but there's some really good drop offs too. So I like to kind of like dance around that edge. And when I go there, I throw like what I consider to be, if I'm I've had some of the best luck at this body of water, catching a variety of species, throwing this one specific lure, and it is a micro koosh ball bladed jig from HH Customs.
Okay.
And the way I like to run that thing, it is with one of the, what the fuck are they called? Rhythm waves from Jackal. Remember you pointed those out, the 2.75 or the 2.8 inch swim baits, but
love them, dude. Yeah.
Really, really thin body. And it's probably the craziest body roll of any soft plastic I've ever witnessed. And it's the perfect size for that, for that bladed jig. And the reason why I like to lean a little bit on the HH Customs micro koosh ball is because that hook size is pretty much perfect. Like it's a long enough shank where the hook point is far enough back. So on a 3-inch plastic, it works great. You know what I mean? If I'm going any smaller than that, I have another secret up my sleeve. Like if I have to get physically downsize even further, I have another way to go. But the HH Customs allows me to make a little bit more bomb casts. Now, what color is that?
This is, I don't know, it's in Japanese.
Oh, all right. Okay. Hey.
Oh, hold on. green pumpkin pepper. So it's
Okay.
green pumpkin black flake.
So I have some of those, but the one I like to throw. So I'm going to get into colors. Like this is what I believe right here. The Killer Gill color from HH Customs, not with the guppy. I mean, the guppy is a great plastic, and I buy the guppies out, but for a different use. I don't put them on that jig. I use that rhythm wave. The rhythm wave I use is like it's almost like a smoke color with gold flake.
Okay. All right.
There's something about, and I was just convinced up and down. We're going to get to some tragedy in a moment, but I was throwing it was my last trailer in that color on my last HH Customs a micro koosh ball jig in that color. And I like to get those with the gold blade because I initially I was fishing some dirtier water earlier with that combo. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, all right, cool. And I had, it was a green pumpkin purple with like a black blade, you know? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I think they kind of need the flash. I do. So I cut that off and I made the change. And as soon as I did, I started catching. I upgraded my chain pickerel. Not by much, but hey, 2 inches is 2 inches. Am I right? Right. And fellas, we need every one we can get. But I also was just getting chased by yellow perch everywhere. The ones that are almost too small to be able to bite this, you know? And I'm like, that's a good thing. Then I'm getting their attention. I'm pulling stuff out. I had multiple other chain pickerel nip at it, like as I'd go past some dead weeds or some lily pads that were still miraculously hitting the surface, and I'm like, okay, this is a good feeling. I feel good about this. I lost that bait. Broke off, got stuck. Hooked like a stick or something that was like on a brush pile, like fairly heavy. And I went to try to free it up. I wasn't able to do it. I actually thought it was weeds and I'd be able to rip it right out. I ripped it, bang, came right off. And I was like, fuck. The problem is I haven't re-upped my stash on these bladed jigs. So I have a couple of oddball colors. Like I've already tried the one with the dark blade and I'm like, what else do I have that's got like a shinier blade? And I found one, and it's like a white and pink skirt with like a gold head, and it's got a gold blade. I was like, all right, we'll try this. And again, I didn't have that plastic either. So I was like, well, it's kind of perchy, I guess. I had like a 2.75 swammer from X-Zone, like just laying around. Because that's one thing I did this year is I went and I was like, let me pick up a bunch of different small bait fish, like, you know, small finesse swim baits that are under that 3-inch mark and play around with some stuff, you know, and see what I like and what I don't like. So I've got choices. I got a couple of follows, but I wasn't connecting, you know? And I'm like, motherfucker. And then I was like, maybe I'll just make a change and go to a finesse swim bait, you know, in that Killer Gill color. Throw a guppy, you know? And as I'm going and I'm digging through this box looking for the jig heads, I open up my box and I see I have one more in Killer Gill with the gold blade. So I took that, tied it on, and I grabbed the green pumpkin pepper rhythm wave and popped that on with a little bit of my magic sauce that I use. And I started throwing, instantly started catching, dude. Instantly started catching. More chain pickerel, a lot of those, a dink bass. That wasn't going to help the cause at all. I released him. I did catch the yellow perch I was going for. I did. So now that brings me up to where I am now with 7 points. I'm like, yellow perch, sweet, that's awesome, you know? This perch was just under, it was 12 3/4 inches.
Yep.
Absolute giant. So it was a little over an inch shy of a pin, but this was such a fatty. Like such a freaking fat little perch. And we put up a great fight. Absolutely unbelievable. So I'm like, okay, all right, I feel pretty good. I got my 7 points. I'm like, and for my overall inches, I'm the leader in that 7-point tie. So that's where we stand right now. I'm like, and at the time, I want to say that I could have taken third. At the time. Now that's not going to happen. I think I'll be in 4th place at best, if nothing changes, you know. That very well could change. Who knows? So I get out and I'm fishing my way back. And again, there are still plenty of species that are in here that I can pick up. The bullhead. I've had a run this year catching bullhead on finesse moving baits. I don't know why. There's something about them, but they just can't seem to get enough of them. So I'm like, if I come across them, fantastic. So I'm fishing all the same stuff. I'm catching another pickerel. Dude, again, I'm going to say it again. I go to this body of water to avoid largemouth. I caught a 16 on that micro cruise ball. So I was able to upgrade that. Again, that helps my overall inches. Those little upgrades count. So if you're like, oh, I already got this, I don't need it. If it's an upgrade it. Trust me, it helps you. It's a strategy thing. So I'm like feeling pretty good. I'm like, this is all right. You know, we get over and I fish down to the boat launch again. And as I get to the boat launch, this is fucking awesome. As I get to the boat launch, there is a Subaru Outback with a boat trailer. Like, I don't know if they like hot glued the hitch to the bumper of this. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. With the strangest wreck boat I've ever seen. Like, it was kind of like, it wasn't a wake boat. It was just somebody's pleasure boat. But like at the bow, like it had like a railing. Like it was a much larger boat than it was. You know?
Gotcha.
It was very strange. There are 4 of the girls in this car. They're in the boat. They're all sitting there hanging out, and they can't get this off the trailer at all. It's not moving. The way they got it off the trailer is the girl who was on the bank. I thought this car was going in. I 100% was like, there's going to be a fucking environmental crime that happens here at the boat launch. Like, it's happening, and I'm going to witness it, and it's going to be crazy. She put the car in reverse and backed down and stomped on the brakes to push the boat off. I think she was still connected. So, like, she could have pulled herself right the fuck in. I'm like, what is going on here? I left before they got off the water with pure intention because I didn't want to see that shit show, nor did I want to get roped into it. I just wanted to be out. So I'm sitting there and I'm just kind of dying. I'm like, this is nuts. Now there's a couple of ledges that I went back to go fish and fish a little bit deeper, just throw a drop shot to get down at the bottom and see what I could pick off there. Didn't pick anything off at all. And I'm like, time's starting to run out. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, I'm going to fish till as late as 6 p.m. Once it starts getting dark, I'm out. And then at this time, it was probably about 5:15. And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm good. And my plan was to record the show and maybe get out today after we record the show. That's not going to happen either. I got home, and this was after I hit up a dispo. Shout out to Bud House in Pittsfield. They carry my go-to brand of edibles now, Tree Works. I picked up 2 of their bags of gummies. One is the desired effect is happy. The other one is focus. So you can be focused or happy, but you cannot be both. You know. So we went with happy, and we were. So I get back to the house, and it's like 6:30 when I get home, and my wife. I said to her, she goes, oh, what do you got going on tomorrow? I was like, recording the podcast at 9. I was like, why? What's going on with you? And she's like, oh, cool. We should go and run these errands or something. I'm like, done deal. And I'll tell you this, so you will see no more fish entered in for the scavenger hunt from me because my wife is an amazing ass woman who puts up with a lot of my fishy shit that I'm not. So when she says like, hey, we got to do this together, I'm like, done deal. It's game on. So I got my 7 points. I only got to fish, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. 4 days, 7 points. I'm not mad. And one of those days was a skunk. Like, I'm not, effectively, I put fish in the boat 3 days this week. I'm not upset at that. I'm all right with it. I can live with it. So let's talk about what the standings look like right now. I'm actually going to refresh this because if I don't, I could be looking at some off numbers. So as we speak right now, out of the 8 anglers that are entered in, there have been 67 entries. And overall, and it looks like very little has actually changed. We only have 7 anglers that put fish on the board. So in 7th place currently, I don't know, things could change as the day goes on. Kevin Mahoney, Biohazard Bassin, currently in 7th place. 2 points. John Hagen's in 6th place with 6 points. We have 2 ties on the board. At 7 points, we've got myself and I've got Nathan Grant listed here. And then we have another tie at 8 points. We've got Todd Sefton and John Thompson, both tied up right there. And right now in the lead at 9 points, it is Eric Miller. So it is like anybody's to win. You go out and you have a good day. Like 100%, it is yours to win. Now, as far as overall inches right now, Eric Miller and with his 9 points, he's got 140.25 inches. As far as the other tie, Todd Sefton and John Thompson. Todd Sefton has 120.75 inches, 127, excuse me, and John Thompson has 89 inches right there. So of that tie, Todd Sefton, as it stands right now, would win. As far as the tie with 7 points, I would win that one by only like 5.25 inches. Yeah. But again, like Nathan could go and fish today. All he has to do is catch, if he could catch 3 species today and he was the only one to like add anything to it above him, he'd win the sucker. Like that's how crazy it is. It's amazing. So Todd, I am cheering for you, man. You know, I am cheering for you. But it's tough. You get into these scavenger hunts and the better you do early, the harder it makes it later on because your real estate for what you can catch starts to diminish, you know? Mm-hmm. It's kind of nuts, man. So it was a wild week. I live for this shit. I don't know that I'll enter another weekly open. I'll tell you what, I probably will actually, I take that back, in May because I'm going to enter the open and the championship. They're going to happen on the same week. So like they'll fish that open just for shits and giggles, use the whole thing as like practice for the last 48 hours. And then on that last day, I'll just have that second identifier and fish the championship, you know? Could be good. But man, what a wild week. Congrats to everybody who's out there who's just been absolutely like hammering away at it. It's been crazy. And if you are interested in trying one of these scavenger hunts, right now we do 2 that are on the schedule. There's one in May and then there's one in October. The one coming up this May is also going to feature the championship in there. So it's 2 different tournaments that you can enter. The only qualifier for the championship right now is that you have to have entered the open. And the list for that is 11 people. You know, I don't know that we're going to see all 11 in the championship. Who knows? You know, if you are registered for the scavenger hunt open in May, I may allow those entries to the championship if they want to fool around with that. I may. I'll have to talk to the tournament director and see what he thinks. But yeah, man, that's been my week. It has been fucking insane. Absolutely insane. Joe, do we have any fishing headlines?
We do.
We do. I love that. Well, hey, I'm going to go ahead and hit this play button.
Well, Bobby, these salmon fishermen that we're going to talk about just demonstrated the absolute dumbest way.
Oh, God.
To get a ticket.
Oh,
and that's because these 2 Washington men were live streaming numerous salmon fishing violations.
Oh, it's so.
And then a game warden decided to tune in. So 2 fishermen in Washington State who were desperate to show off their catches online ended up live streaming their way into a ticket Friday. The unidentified anglers were recording themselves catching salmon on the Quileute River and breaking several fishing regulations in the process. They were apparently unaware that game wardens with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife were tuning in and watching. In a Facebook post, the Fish and Wildlife officials said that an officer had gotten a tip about the live streaming anglers. The agency didn't note where the tip came from, but it was likely another angler.
Oh, yeah.
As the live streamers were floating down the river in a drift boat, the tipster shared where they were on the river. While Officer McComber drove to the incident location, several clips were recorded from the suspect's live stream that showed him and another angler illegally removing fish from the water to show off for the camera. Officer McComb arrived on scene and hiked downriver to the drift boat's location, observed the individuals as they were continuing to live stream and fish. Fish and Wildlife says the one recording abruptly disengaged his broadcast as soon as McComber asked them to row to shore. McComber warned them not to mess with their gear and then watched one of the fishermen do just that. The angler admitted when on shore that he'd been using a barbed hook illegally and was trying to hide it. The violations didn't stop there, though. McComber learned that one of the anglers had kept on fishing after catching his limit of salmon. This is illegal in Washington and is considered attempting to exceed a fishing limit. Mm-hmm. The angler also failed to record his harvests on his catch card, another violation. And he'd been pulling fish out of the water to show them off to the live stream, and then both anglers were cited as a result. Fish and Wildlife explained in the post that it is unlawful to remove a salmon, steelhead, or Dolly Varden bull trout completely out of the water if the angler plans to release it, or if it's illegal to catch the fish in the first place. The reason for these strict keep 'em wet rules is because the fish populations are suffering, with some runs on the brink of extinction. So managers are trying to do everything they can to protect the dwindling resource. That's it. Knuckleheads.
Fucking keep 'em wet rules is the fucking great, dude.
I know.
Oh, God. Yeah. You don't get much dumber than that. Like, oh my God. And although I can't say that I'm surprised that when the warden said to him, like, hey, don't touch any of your equipment, get over to shore, get over to the bank. I can't say that I'm surprised that the guy was just like, yeah, I'm fucking with my equipment. Like,
yeah, exactly.
At that point, I'm like, my God. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, people are dumb, man.
People are dumb, buddy.
Yeah. You mean game wardens have the internet too?
I know. Crazy, right?
Wild. Fucking wild. We are going to take a short break, guys. We're going to come back. We have Adjust the Tip this week where, we're going to talk about all the small things because it is getting to be that time of year where downsizing is going to be how you're going to get it done most of the time. And we're going to talk about some of the other reasons and part of the year why you might want to downsize as well. And maybe, just maybe, we can inspire you to kind of love it a little bit. We'll see. Let's go ahead and take a short break, guys. We'll see you in a moment with more Jigs and Bigs goodness right after this.
And perhaps play a little game called Just the Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
We got tips on tips on tips, and they're small ones this week. Finesse first. Big results when the bite gets tough. That's what we're talking about here, guys. When fishing gets slow, maybe it's a cold front, heavy pressure, post-front bluebird days, downsizing your presentation can be the key to triggering bites. Smaller baits don't just imitate smaller forage. They move naturally, they fall slower, and they look less threatening to fish that are acting finicky. We're going to break down downsizing strategies by water column, complete with some tackle recommendations when needed. And we're going to talk about even bait finesse here a little bit and tips for working some of these presentations effectively. Now, the reason why we're talking about this time of year is because downsizing plays as these water temps get colder, and this is especially something that we're going to see with northern anglers, you're going to probably be forced to downsize your presentation just to even get a bite. Like, things are going to get tough in the winter over here. And I mean, down south, I mean, sure, this would probably serve you well too. So let's start from the top down right here. Now, obviously, there's going to come a point in time where, the top water bite's just not necessarily going to be there. But downsizing your top water does play a role year round. So, a downsized popper or a walking bait is huge. Some examples of those would be like the Rebel Pop R Jr., the Yozuri 3DB Popper, or one of my favorites for downsized topwaters is the Hedden Zara Spook Puppy. The reason why it works is that small topwaters are going to displace less water and imitate tiny forage or fry, making them ideal for calm and clear conditions. Obviously, you want to fish these on the appropriate rods and reels that you would that for your standard topwaters. Just ensure that you're able to make the cast with that lighter stuff. It might mean that you might throw that Zara Spook Puppy on a little bit lighter power rod. As far as your retrieval tips, you want to use short rhythmic twitches and pauses. And here's that new Jigs and Bigs nomenclature, especially when you're using the poppers. Think spit and sit cadence. I'm going to say that again. Think when you're using that popper, spit, then sit. In clear water, you can let the bait sit a little bit longer in between twitches as well. You want to use these baits in, calm flats or shallow grass edges or even riprap with light bait fish activity. Now, as we talk about like the biggest chunk of the water column, that mid water column, it's all about those, more suspending fish. These are the subtle suspender zone. A finesse jerkbait or a shad style soft plastic can do the job. Something like a Rapala X-Rap 06 or a Lucky Craft Pointer 65 or even a 3-inch fluke on a light jig head. And the reason why it works is that it mimics dying bait fish. Small profile appears to neutral or cold front bass. And as far as retrieval tips go here, use light erratic twitches, not the hard jerks used for like full-size jerk baits. Pause a little bit longer, sometimes like, up to 10 seconds in between movements in order to trigger bites. And your best bet is around like those transition bakes where suspended fish will be found like near points and especially on clear lakes with bait fish schools. Also, your smaller swim baits are deadly. And when I say smaller swim baits, we're talking anything from like 2 to like 3.5 inches. Your Kitech Easy Shiner, the 3-inch ones, or your Z-Man Slim Swims, or the Megabass Haze Dong Shad. These work because there's a subtle tail kick and a compact profile to fool pressured fish. As far as like rods and reels and everything like that, I'm going to talk about like the reel I like to use for these smaller, and it's a big difference. It depends on the jig head. If I'm throwing something that's like I would say like under like 3/16 of an ounce and under, I'm going to throw it on my bait finesse combo, and that's a 6 foot light. Moderate fast rod with that's my ARC Gravity BFS rod that I'm throwing that on, and that right now I have 10-pound braid to like it'll go anywhere from a 2 to up to a 6-pound leader depending on what it is that I'm fishing for. And I'll throw generally like a 2 to 3 inch plastic on there for the most part, usually like that 2.5 somewhere in that window to up to 3 inches what I'll throw on there. Now for anything heavier, I'll say like a 1/4 ounce and above. That I'm throwing on a totally different setup, and that's on a 7'3" medium heavy, moderate fast rod that I'm throwing with a slower reel because I'm generally making longer casts with that, and I can slow roll that a little bit, so it's like a 6-speed reel, and I'm throwing that with 12-pound fluoro, and those I'll throw up to as heavy as in St. Lawrence I was throwing 3/4 ounce jig heads with some of them, and those I'm fishing primarily like 3.5 inch to about 5-inch swim baits for the most part. We start talking 5-inch, that is not really finesse, but I would say that 3.5 up to like 4-inch in that window is about what I'm generally throwing there. And slow and steady is what you're looking for here. You want to vary with like micro pauses or light rod tip lifts to kind of like pick the head up and keep it sort of level. This is especially a player when I'm throwing on my bait finesse setup because that reel is a much faster reel. It's best around suspended bait balls. It's going to kill it. Current seams are going to be very helpful as well. And open water above grass lines, you're going to see some of your best bites. And on the bottom, dare I say, finesse at its finest. You knew it was going to be mentioned, the Ned rig, of course. The classic Z-Man TRD or a Missiles Ned bomb or the Robo Ned worm on up to a 1/10, or I should say as light as a 1/10 all the way up to a 6-ounce head. The reason that it works is it's simple. That upright posture imitates gobies, craws, or bait fish that are nose down feeding. Your retrieval tips here: drag and hop or shake slightly. Less movement is often going to be what gets it done, and let it sit longer than you think. Your best bet for using a net is around rock, gravel, sandy flats. Avoid heavy grass with this sucker. Now, that's not to say that there aren't different, jigs that you can use to fish these in grass, but we're talking about that typical Ned rig open hook. And another reason why it's important to consider your jig head too is your fall rate. That comes into play. So, maybe start with something a little bit in the middle, and if you feel like you need to slow it down, lighten it up a hair. One of my favorite finesse tactics is a compact finesse jig, that like a Strike King Bitsy Bug. That was the first one I ever used. A Z-Man Cross-Eyes finesse or a Jewel Pee-wee football head jig. The reason that it works is that it's got a smaller skirt and a trailer, and it's often more subtle. That crawl-like profile is what it's giving you, but it doesn't have the same kind of bulk. Now, rods, reels, and lines for these. A 7-foot medium or medium heavy bait casting reel, bait casting setup will work great. If you're using a really, really light head, this is where bait finesse is going to come in really handy. Something with a little bit faster speed reel is going to be good to pick up line especially if you're fishing it on the bottom. And if your retrieve for it is just, short hops and subtle shakes, these you generally want to try to keep contact with the bottom. Pair it with a small trailer like a baby rage craw or a zoom chunk. And it's best around laydowns and docks, isolated rock piles, and cold water open options as well. It's a really good option there. Of course, last week we got heavy into drop shots. Drop shots are a finesse technique. 4 to 5 inch straight tail worms or 3-inch minnow style plastics. Those are some of the best. One of my favorites is a Berkeley Max Scent flatworm. Robo worms are the classic. The reason that it works, it keeps bait in the strike zone longer. And it's deadly on pressured fish. We talked a lot about this, about like the tools, how to make it happen, but some quick retrieval tips to refresh. Shake slack line gently. Avoid overworking it. Just kind of shake that line, just a little bit of movement. It does more than you think. And vary your leader length. Go as close as 6 inch if they're bottom hugging fish, and up to 18 for suspended fish. And we got some comments about the drop shot segment from last week. And one of our listeners was like, I don't go any shorter than 18 inch. And that's the thing. It's going to depend on your body of water, where you're fishing. So be flexible, try some stuff, maybe start with a little bit longer of a leader, and as you need to, just cut little bits off to make your life a little bit easier versus retying the whole thing. Your drop shot's going to be best around vertical structure, bridge pilings, and deep brush as well. And then let's talk specifically about bait finesse applications. Bait finesse can excel for downsized hard baits, micro jigs, compact Texas rigs even, where sometimes spinning gear might lack control or casting precision. A 6 foot to 7 foot light to even medium light bait finesse rod is going to be probably the staple in your finesse bait, or specifically in your bait finesse arsenal. As far as your reel, a shallow spool bait finesse reel, like if you can afford it, Shimano Aldebaran BFS, a Daiwa Alphas Air, or the Tatula, or one of my absolute favorites, a handful of my absolute favorites that are a little bit more cost effective. Arc Gravity BFS, the Dark Wolf U50 is fantastic, as is the Casking Kestrel. That's great. Ideal techniques are going to be like weightless plastics are going to be great. Anything from as light as even a 32nd of an ounce to an 1/8 ounce jig, small crankbaits, jerk baits, and micro Texas rigs too. Consider that stuff. The benefit is that you get pinpoint casting to a lot of this stuff. If you're trying to hit cover, like it is so ridiculous ridiculously accurate. And you can throw fluorocarbon without having to deal with some of the issues you might deal with on a spinning rod with fluorocarbon, like line twist and, wind knots and things like that. Bait Finesse lets you present small baits with that bait caster precision, an edge that in tight cover or even skipping situations can be a big deal. General downsizing strategies overall to make this kind of simple: use lighter line. It reduces visibility, increases bait action, slow everything down. Let the fish tell you what the cadence is. Sometimes the pause is the trigger. Match the hatch. Observe the bait fish that are around and the craw size that day. Imitate as close as you can to exactly that, and you're going to see more fish caught overall. And then stay as stealthy as you can. Make longer casts. Quiet boat positioning. That's a big one. And minimal distance. It goes a long way. Confidence counts too. Small doesn't mean small fish all the time. Downsized baits often catch larger and smarter fish that are in the ecosystem. As far as the wrap-up point to all this, let's say when the bite gets tough, finesse isn't just a fallback. It's a weapon. Downsize your presentation and adapting your tackle opens up the door to more bites when everyone else is getting skunked. The goal is less splash, more flash, and letting patience do the work. As the saying goes, big fish eat small fish too. Just make sure you're serving it the right way. So you're going to hear a lot of folks as the colder months start to come in and we see temps really kind of take a dive and things are starting to, really get tough out there. If you're not getting bit, a lot of people will say, and I know Joe and I have both said it before, downsize your presentation, downsize your presentation. A good example I like to throw out there too is like jerk baits, We say it all the time, like going from like that standard, like 110 size to like a 90 can sometimes be the thing that gets it done, and it's a little bit more subtle. It's a little bit more, I think less intimidating to the fish to go ahead and take a stab at it. What do you think, Joe? Do you have anything you want to add there?
The big thing, obviously downsize, and you kind of mentioned it. So especially this time of year, the bite gets tough. Not only downsize, but slow the hell down.
Slow it, yeah, because that's
slow down.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, and that goes from everything from fall rate, like that's a big one. Sometimes that bait traditionally when we're talking about Ned fishing, that wasn't initially developed as a bottom contact presentation. It was about making a cast and allowing that tiny morsel of bait to fall. And there's things that you can do to modify that. So like sometimes you'd be like, oh, when do I want to throw a Ned rig versus throwing a finesse jig? Well, you put a skirt on a Ned rig and you've got, technically they're both jigs, really, but like you put skirt material on, that's going to create resistance in the water. You change your trailer to something that's got a little bit more kick to it. That's going to slow things down too. We got a comment in here from Todd. He goes, I happen to actually be in the market for a new spinning rod. He snapped a rod on I believe a smallmouth and sent the picture last night, and it was heartbreaking. Yeah, that's rough. But hey, the nice thing is now you get to do a little bit of shopping, maybe upgrade some stuff, maybe take this as an opportunity, to kind of go with it. But yeah, man, I think that's the thing. Like you're going to hear people talk about downsizing your baits, and it doesn't mean you have to go and buy like all new shit. It really doesn't.
No.
You can get away with doing some stuff with what you've already got. Just, going with something a little bit smaller, a little bit more compact, a little bit more stealthy. Sometimes can get it done, especially when they're picky. You know what I mean? They get finicky. But that's going to do it for segment 2. We have no FTG this week. Everyone's
in good behavior, Bobby.
We're going to see this, I think, as like fall fishing starts to grind on and on and on. There's going to be less and less bullshit to be spoken about, which is not necessarily a bad thing. But why don't we do this? We're going to take a real quick break, guys. We're going to dive into the live well and then wrap this sucker up. We will see you guys in a bit. Do not go too far. More Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this.
Hi there. Welcome to the Live Well, where we crack open a ramp beer and attempt to answer all of your burning questions. Burning questions that are just chafing and terrible. And we're going to dive right in here. And I'm going to go ahead and say this week for you guys, we don't have just our standard live well. Oh no, we've got the one and only
E-Live Well.
That's what we've got this week. Let's go ahead and dive in. We have not one, but we have two questions from the one and only Eli self. Let's go ahead and dive into this first one that I think is a very interesting and good point to be brought up, especially this early in the scheme of things.
Hey, Eli, question with the live well. So Andrew Hayes does the 5 New Year's resolutions for fishing. So this sparked an idea for a question, but what are 2, 3, 5 goals that you have when it comes to fishing? Obviously one's to always break your PB, but what are some other goals that you have in fishing, whether that be to go fish at a place or something like that? But what are some goals that you have? Love to hear it. Okay, bye.
So he said something in there that I want to mention. And I think we've talked about it on the show multiple times when it comes to like the around New Year's and people, because like I understand the reason why Andrew does this topic. I mean, it's like, you know, change of the calendar year, like we're starting the year off fresh and everybody's talking about resolutions and things like that. I don't think it is wise to create New Year's resolutions, period, or like set goals on things that you have very little control over. Because I think that in a lot of ways you're setting yourself up for disappointment. And one of those is, I'm going to break my new PB. That's my New Year's resolution. I would avoid that. Now, I would say this, there are better ways that you can state that. And that's what my short list would be. I'm going to spend more time on the water. That's a good one. You know, maybe it's going to be a certain number of hours. You're like, I'm going to dedicate 16 hours a week to being on the water. Is that going to be 4 short 4-hour trips? I say 4-hour trips like that short. Or is it going to be done in 2 8-hour days? You're going to go and you're going to say, yep, every Saturday, or maybe you're going to split it up. You're like, I'm going to go out for 4 hours in the evening on these 2 days. And then on Saturdays or on Sundays, I'm going to go out for a full day. And that's just going to be the way it is. Set that up. So if you're trying to, you know, in that is a way that you will get closer to catching your PB, but there's an element to there that you have no control over, and it's the fish being there, you know? So it's like that's a lot of it. I would say this, maybe target a new species. That's an interesting one. I just had a conversation with somebody yesterday talking about one of the bodies of water that I fished and how I think it's probably one of the most productive in the state. And they had said to me, they're like, you know, it's funny. There are so many people that fish that hate that spot because they can't get over largemouth. Like they have to go and fish there. They catch anything else and it's like, meh. You know, they don't appreciate it at all. And I'm like, I agree wholeheartedly. So maybe target a different species, you know, I'm going to try and figure out pike or trout, you know, or I'm going to go and figure out, I've never caught a walleye before or something like that. So something like that is one thing. The other big one for me is like, dude, take a trip, travel a little bit. I think it is 100%. You owe it to yourself to go and do it. At least one trip a year, find a spot that you want to go to and visit and do that, you know, travel to a destination body of water or just an area where you've never been, or do yourself a solid. If you're up north and you've got, you know, frozen conditions and you're just not into ice fishing, go to Florida, you know, go to Texas, Louisiana, and fish down south in an area. And that might be enough of a little bit of a reprieve for you to not lose your mind come February.
Sometimes. What do you think, Joe? What's a couple of your resolutions? Or
one that I have
goals?
every single year is to become confident in a new technique.
That's a great one too, man.
That's my biggest one each year. Outside the, spend more time in the water, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm also kind of a proponent where I try not to make like crazy New Year's resolutions that are, but that's just going to set up disappointment. But yeah, that is my one big one is try to become confident in a new technique every year. Yeah, I think that's really the only, that's because, fishing to me, I go out and I do it and I enjoy it no matter what. But that's like the one thing I always strive for each year.
No, I think that's actually a really good. I didn't even consider that. It's like folks that struggle with a certain technique. It's like this is a good way to kind of make sure you put that in your hand, and you're like, listen, I'm going to do myself a favor. I don't throw wacky rigs ever, so I'm going to go and I'm going to get a pack of hooks, and I'm going to go and I'm going to get a couple of different colors of stick bait, and I'm going to figure this out.
Yep.
Whatever that might be.
You force yourself to get confident. And that's how I became confident with the drop shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I forced myself to get confident with it because I knew I needed it to for certain techniques or certain places I wanted to fish at certain times of the year. So
yeah. No. 100%, man. 100%. Now, this other call that he has come in, comes down to a specific type of equipment or a specific piece of equipment. Now, I've got strong opinions about this one.
Hey, it's Eli with a question for the eLive well. I have decided that I'm going to invest in some nice pair of sunglasses and been looking at like different lens colors and stuff like that, trying to look up like what is best for like rivers, lakes, creeks, stuff like that. So what lens color would you recommend for, and also is there like a type of a shape of sunglasses? Because I know I've heard a lot about like not letting, trying to not let as much light or letting as little light in on the sides as possible. So I know it obviously is a preference of what shape, but is there one that you think is better than others? And then also what lens color do you think would work best for rivers, creeks, stuff like that?
So I'm going to let you answer this one first, Joe.
I don't know if they're going to like my answer.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Might be the same as mine.
It's a pair of fucking sunglasses. Like, as long as I mean the big scientific background, but for sunglasses is when it comes to water is have a polarized lens. Here's the issue. Yes, sometimes they say more of a yellow tinted lenses, more of a brown tinted lenses, more of a dark tinted lenses might have a little bit more clarity in different
light conditions,
colors, different clarities of water.
Yep.
With me, I've done the research and looking, and you have pro anglers out there that'll carry 3, 4, 5 different pairs of sunglasses on their boats. Yep. Coming with that different water clarity, different colors on the lenses. In my opinion, if you're at a body of water that has like a super clear clarity, like St. Lawrence River, Bobby.
Yes. Yep.
It doesn't matter as long as you have those polarized sunglasses that are meant, that's not why they were designed, but just happens to be a great thing that comes with them. Is you're gonna see like, I don't know. It's just kind of my hot take, dude. Like it's don't get wrapped up on lens colors, especially, again, different lakes or different clarities, different tints. If you go like overall, if we want to go to overall, I've heard like the brown lenses might be the overall best. Yep. I don't own them. I just do. In all honesty, I buy the cheapest, shittiest polarized glasses because I fucking lose them all the time. Mm-hmm. And guess what? I see just fine in the water in comparison to somebody who's like hands me over their Costas or whatever. I'm like, I don't tell it to them, but I'm like, I see the same depth. I see just as good with my $10 sunglasses. So don't sit there and go buy yourself a super expensive pair of sunglasses just for like
a specific
being able
watercolor
to see, specifically to being able to see in the water. Yeah, that's my take on it.
There are better ways to approach that quandary of ideal lens color for the water that you're fishing. A lot of it, I think, comes down to the amount of light. So obviously, like I often go with a black or an amber, but I've had other colors. I've had yellow, I've had blue, green, and I've had red. I will say this. Eli says, he's like, oh, I've heard amber a lot. Yeah, amber is great because it is like a medium kind of color. It's like the go-to a lot of people think of. So it's not as dark as a black lens, you know? But again, like I think that you're dealing a little bit with nuance. I think that if you are, I will say this, you know, when a yellow lens is great, like a light yellow lens, again, as long as it's polarized, it's great in those early mornings when you don't have the sun, but you still have some glare from the residual light.
Yeah.
So it's not such a dark lens where it's impeding your vision necessarily. You know, that is, I will say, is nice. Now, there are better ways to do it than to go and have like 5 different pairs of sunglasses. There are better ways to do it. There are companies right now that make replaceable lenses so you can change the color. Hobie Eyewear does one. I think there's a company called Grizzly, if I'm not mistaken. I've seen them all over Facebook, all over Instagram and Facebook, where it's like it's a kit. And like it comes with a set of frames and you can swap out the different color lenses. And like that's a great idea. You know, I know a lot of people think, you know, blue is like a great color. It's more personal preference than anything. But I do agree with you, Joe, that like it is more about the fact that this is something that you can lose. And that brings me to Eli's next comment. He goes, I'm looking at the Costa Rieftons. Ask yourself or look into this, Eli, do they float? Because if you want to drop a couple $100 on a pair of sunglasses because you think that they're going to be elevating your abilities or giving you an advantage on the water, drop them in 30 foot of water. Because I'd rather spend $40 on a good pair of glasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And here's, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but Eli primarily fishes from the bank, correct?
Yes. Yep.
So
he probably doesn't have to worry about that a whole lot.
But what do you, if you're looking at this for water clarity and see it, like, I guess if you're going to drop that amount of money on a pair of sunglasses from fishing from the bank, I feel like you could spend that money wisely somewhere else with your fishing gear. Because, you know, when it comes to like lens clear and everything, like and polarized, that's a huge thing especially when you're like on a boat and stuff, but it's like on the bank, it's like, I mean, if you're in but I know you're in an area where a lot of rivers and stuff. So that could make a little bit of a difference, especially if you're wading or whatnot. But,
well, actually, Eli's got a kayak, I believe now.
Oh, okay. Okay, yeah. That's different.
Yeah, I think Eli's got he says, I've always had crappy polarized sunglasses, and when I put my buddies on, they're a lot nicer. I do notice a difference. I mean, I will say this. I don't think that has to do with color of the lens at all. I think that has to do with the polarization. Because, like, when you say crappy lenses, Eli, what are you talking about? Did you get these at, like, what the fuck is the name of it? Casey's? Like, did you pick them up at Casey's? You know, or some shit like that. Like, you were like, oh, these say there's a polarized sticker on there. Sometimes that shit's fucking mislabeled. Like, it could be. If you're getting a pair of glasses that are like fishing glasses, there was a fucking brand I bought when I first started fishing. I think they were called Fishaholic. I think they're called Fishaholic. Shit, no, even earlier than that. I bought a pair of Strike King sunglasses at like Kmart when I was like, I need some polarized glasses. And I'm like, oh, I bought these. I think they maybe cost me $20 and they were amazing. The problem is with like cheap glasses is that they will eventually break or you're going to lose them because you're not tied to them for whatever. Just if you're going to drop a few $100s on any pair of glasses, Oakley's or Waterlands, or you're going to drop whatever on Costas or anything like that, make sure that they float. You're gonna it's just because throwing that amount of money, it's almost like taking a reel and going like, oh, bye. You know what I mean? And it's tough. There's a brand, Elise and I talked about it, and that's their thing. They're like, our sunglasses float.
I know what ones you're talking about, yeah. I think.
I'm not sure what brand, and I don't want to fuck it up because I don't want people to think like, oh yeah, it's this one. I'm just saying like, do they float? You know, that's a big deal. And yeah, I think that I think you would be better off buying a set of like anything at a fraction of the cost. Buy a couple different kinds to find what you're looking for, but I think that like what he's talking about there has to do with the polarization, the level of polarization, and how, you know what I wish I could find? A clear polarized lens on eyeglasses. That's not like a medical, like a prescription.
I believe, I'm not Under Armour. I believe Oakley makes them with their prism lenses.
Yep. I think that would be, because there are days where I am out there and it's at like dawn or dusk, and they would come in really handy, especially with certain,
One advisory I should have mentioned, Bobby, with this is I'm probably like the worst person to like really ask this question to, because I have wicked bad astigmatism in my eyes. So the light hits me way differently than it does like the normal person.
There you go. That's true. But I don't. Like, I'm a little bit like, my eyes are surprisingly in decent shape. The only glasses I wear is just for like strain. Like we're looking at screens and shit like this. And I haven't worn them since like the pandemic. I haven't.
Dude, my eyeballs are shaped like fucking footballs, dude. The light hits me from all different directions.
Yeah. And that's the other thing too. It's like, I would say if you're spending money on eyeglasses, on sunglasses for fishing, like my buddy, Paul, his last batch of glasses he got, he was like, he goes, oh yeah. He's like, he can't see the point in spending money on prescription sunglasses. So instead of having two pairs, he was like, he got the transitions lenses.
Yeah. Yep.
But he got the lenses that are polarized. And he's like, what a difference. He's like, they're a little bit darker but just barely. And like, oh man, you know what I would love to see? This would be the geekiest shit ever. So have you ever fucked around with photography at all, Joe? Like really fucked with like, so have you seen a polarized lens before?
Yeah.
It's two pieces and they move.
Yep.
I would love to see glasses like that where it's like, oh, it's polarized, but you could dial it in.
Oh, Jesus.
Right? Because then you could be like the angles and everything. Like it would all come into play. Like, could you imagine that? It would be fucked up with having them be two different ones. Like it would... I would say, in all seriousness, though, Eli, what I would do is like, if you've got a budget and you're like, oh, these are what I'm going to do, what I'm going to look into, take half of that budget and buy as many cheap pairs of sunglasses that you can. And I don't mean like $8 pairs of sunglasses, because like I've bought those $8 aviators in like, packs of 3 because I know I'm going to lose them. But like, that's all you really need is just some kind of polarization. And I think that the higher quality ones that you tried with your buddy, I think that those are more. I think that the polarization process or the end product is just superior, and it's not. It's not about the lens color at all. I've been window shopping reels too, and I'm looking at Daiwa Tatula SV150 and the 100S. I would rather see you put your money there.
Yeah, 100%.
100%.
If you got $250 of fuck you money, like, yeah, whatever, let it rip by the
Yeah.
cost is. But if not, like, I'd rather, just like Bobby said, I'd rather you get like an okay pair of sunglasses and that real.
Yeah. 100%. In fact, like if you really, really, really think that like the color is going to make that much of a difference, don't spend the money on one pair. Buy a few different colors of like Torres glasses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't even know if our fucking promo code works for those guys anymore. Like that, I'm officially saying non-spons, right?
Yeah.
But they're cheap, and you can get a couple different pairs to see, like, is it really worth it? Get like, you know, an amber or a black, and like a blue or a green or something like that. Like yellow is really specialized. You know, was I think Todd up here said amber orange. Amber's great. You know, some of them have like a transition in between. It's like, I don't necessarily buy all that shit either, but
yeah.
I can't suggest it to Tula enough. I might be biased. I got asked, I was fishing. No, I was at trivia the other day, and somebody was like, hey, Bobby, is that a Daiwa hat? And I was like, yeah, I'm a fucking loser. Oh, man. So, yeah, I hope that helps. And if you're listening and you're considering a pair of sunglasses or something, and you're like, no, I gotta spend this money. I got to know, do they float? Because would you be pissed about the amount of money you spent if they were at the bottom of your local reservoir?
Sure.
You know, that's just a real question you got to ask yourself.
Yep.
So freaking go for it. Joe, what a great show. What are we looking at for time here? What are we doing? It's not even 11 o'clock.
It's fishing time, Bobby. It's fishing time.
I can tell you got the itch.
I got the itch,
and
dog.
fair enough. It's been a couple of months, man. You deserve it.
Yes.
I hope you go and you catch them. Hey, do you have a catch board on your...
I do.
You do?
I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. Document whatever you catch. I just got
let me... I believe... Oh, no, it's right behind me. It's right behind me, but I'll bring it with me.
If it's on that shelf, be careful with that fucking shelf today. Just fucking be careful.
No,
I just got to reach down and grab
it's
this.
leaning up against it. We're good.
Okay. All right. I was worried. Oh, man. Well,
I'm going to start wearing a helmet and boxing gloves anytime I'm moving shit on that shelf.
Get like a fucking SWAT shield with back fucking straps. I'm good. Oh man, Todd's gonna go out and catch them. I'm gonna go run some errands with my wife, and then this week I got fish to judge from the slot and from the scavenger hunt. So we're gonna jam all that stuff out and get people paid. I'm very, very excited, guys. It's been an amazing year. We got more good Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up in the very, very near future. The 300th episode, mark your calendars. It's going down January the 24th. Tickets go on sale this Friday. You can get your tickets, and they're available online, jigsandbigs.com. You'll see the list right there. There's the link right on the page. Go ahead and get your tickets, get them all set, because once you get your ticket, you're entered for the not only access for the live stream, but you're entered in for the giveaways as well. I forgot to mention one of the prize sponsors that we have now. It's official. We got a jerky company as a prize sponsor. And I'm hoping this works out schedule-wise, because he's traveling about this time, so I don't know if it's going to happen. But he may also have a vendor table set up at the event.
Awesome.
And it's a local jerky company, Armory Jerky.
Oh, okay.
Out of
I'm familiar with them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Delicious. He's actually had me sample a couple of his products, and it's absolutely fantastic stuff.
Yeah.
Really, really good. So yeah, Armory Jerky will be in the house. You can win some jerky. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, tickets are available, jigsandbigs.com. You don't want to miss it. Guys, if you're out there and you're getting fishy with it, take some pics, post them on Instagram, tag us in your pics, let us support you, so that this winter, when we can't get out and fish, or we're limited to making a long journey to get to soft water, we can at least live vicariously through you guys, because that's what it's all about, folks.
Yes.
We love our listeners and our supporters. You guys are absolutely the best. The jig heads, we love all of you. Go ahead and go ahead and catch them. And we'll see you guys next time. You know how it is. Like we always say,
Tits and ass, smoke some grass.